Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Things in Canada I Can't Live Without Anymore. I don't know where this person is from originally, but I would say, well, it's gotta be maple syrup. I think maple syrup in Canada, it's better than in anywhere else in the world. Maybe she has other things, probably she has, but that would be my number one. Let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
It's been 6 years since I moved to Canada, and while celebrating, here's something I realized. I'm living a life that I couldn't have even imagined while living in Russia.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
In this video, I will share 7 things I can't live without since moving to Canada. Before I begin, I want to ask you, is there one smell that you associate with Canada, and what would it be? For me, it's detergent, and I'll tell you why in just a bit.
Okay. Tide Pods? What can it smell?
I'd like to begin by saying this. Life in Canada is just easy.
Oh, okay.
Take doorstep delivery. It actually arrives, and it arrives on time. Then there are pharmacy refill reminders. When I received such a text for the first time, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a scam message. And don't even get me started on grocery
And the scammers know specifically your order. Wow, what a world.
delivery. In Russia, services like that just don't exist, or at least not where I lived. So if you had a package delivered, you would have to go to a local pickup facility, bring your passport, wait in the line with dozens of other people eager to get their packages too, and pray it didn't get lost or stolen or damaged.
Yeah,
Leaving packages at the door is unheard of in my home country. If you did that, they just disappear in no time. So you're watching this video now, and you probably doom-scrolled Instagram
Yeah, but sometimes people do steal packages.
earlier today, Googled something, maybe chatted with your friends on Facebook Messenger, or found an interesting job opening on LinkedIn last month. These simple things are something that I will never take for granted, because my friends and family cannot legally access YouTube, Google, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. These platforms are restricted. Internet in general is very restricted in Russia. Many websites aren't just blocked there, but they are also considered an extremist organizations by the government. In the worst case, you could get arrested for simply being caught using one of these platforms. These laws
You can't use Instagram over there? That's crazy.
affect everything from how Russians consume news to sharing personal things like photos or blog posts. In Canada,
Where do they get the news then? It's all, I'm guessing it's obviously government controlled. This is crazy.
I can browse freely, watch anything, and access information without any restrictions. Another convenience I've grown accustomed to in Canada is voicemail. It's not popular or widespread in Russia, but here voicemail service is provided by mobile operators by default. This simple feature has become
This is insane to me because when was the last time you got a voicemail and actually listened to it? No, just what? Nobody uses this anymore. In Canada, apparently they do.
an invaluable tool for me. Now I can skip picking up my phone if I don't recognize a phone number, and it will go straight to voicemail. This way I can filter
Yeah, but nobody listens to that.
out a lot of scam calls, as scammers usually don't leave voice messages.
No.
Now, in Russia, this is my main ID. This is my Russian passport. Then there is this passport for international travel.
You have two passports?
This is where I would stamp my visas, and I would need it when traveling abroad. So this is what I have to carry with me all the time in Russia. Russian passport is practically the only legit piece of ID back home. So we have to carry this document when we want to use government services, pick up mail, visit a clinic, go to the bank, or even walk down the street where a policeman might stop you for a random check. It's just a
I think that's insane because you would be so scared of losing your passport. It's such a hassle to get them when you got it. If it gets stolen or lost, so you can't keep your passport. You know, unless obviously you have a trip coming up. But it's not something that you go around with your carrying your life. I'd be scared of losing this.
Routine part of life. When I got to Canada, I learned that I could have this.
Correct.
It's my driver's license.
Yes.
And I can use it as my ID.
Yes.
I didn't believe it at first. It's just a plastic card compared to this book. I was shocked.
It's actually, she has a point. It's kind of less formal because a passport is a book, and then obviously an ID is just it's just plastic. So the passport I think makes more sense as it looks legit. But still, I'd be scared. It's, oh my God, you can't carry your passport all the time.
By how much higher the level of trust.
And actually, it's a hassle because it's bigger and it's a book. And oh my God, what if it gets stolen or sort of bent over in your purse? Oh my God.
Is here. And it's just that. It's a piece of plastic that I can carry in my pocket and I don't have to carry a purse to fit this book in. Moreover, here, even if I forget my ID, sometimes just showing a picture of it on my phone is enough.
I didn't know Canada had them because I know that some places in the US are sort of moving towards just having your ID in your phone, and it's an app and it's a whole thing. But I don't think I don't think it's in every state.
That would never fly in Russia. If you go to a clinic in Russia and there is a line, you check to make sure you have your documents with you first. Then you join the line. Because if you forget...
Yeah, but ID, again, your documents is in ID, not the passport.
Something, you'll be asked to leave and come back with everything. No exceptions and no jump in the line.
It's crazy, yeah. If you're in a medical emergency, you have to. Oh, I have to my passport while you're rolling on the floor. I know, with pain or something.
Now let's talk about the police. This might be a controversial topic for some of you, but the police in Canada are actually cool. Or at least you can trust the police.
Okay.
I've had several interactions with police officers here in the last 6 years, and they are generally very polite, inquisitive, calm, and they generally want to help you. They don't threaten you, they are on your side. Well,
yeah, a lot of places have this where police, it's not seen as a good thing, even in the US, so.
Unless you are aggressive or disrespectful to them from the start. In Russia, it feels like the police are really there to protect the state from the people.
Yeah.
It feels like they are constantly suspicious and aggressive by default. They're looking for a reason to stop you and find a reason to detain or fine you. Many Russians I know would want to cross the street at the first sight of a policeman. And if you are stopped, sometimes the only way to walk away without a hassle is, well, let's just say you can't put a thank you in your pocket.
Corruption.
I'm not saying that corruption in Canada doesn't exist. It does, but on a much deeper and less obvious level that 99% of us would never even face. And this sense of security and value of personal rights and freedoms in Canada is something I really appreciate. Just having that removes so much stress from my daily life.
Of course.
As long as I don't break any law, I can focus on my life without looking over my shoulder. Speaking of which, here's how safe I think Canada really is. Walking around the infamous Moss Park or near injection sites at night in Toronto feels like a walk in a literal park compared to what I had to go through in
Is there an actual park there?
Russia on a daily basis. I kid you not, every Russian girl from a very young age is taught how to defend herself or avoid situations like walking alone in the street after dark or entering an apartment building when someone's following you.
Well, that's the reality for a lot of women, not just in Russia, I think in a lot of places in the world as well.
Because if someone is following you, there is a 50-50% chance that person is a maniac. On top of that, many of those apartment building halls and entrances are dimly lit, if at all, because they are so old, so these places become prime spots for crime. Now, after 6 years in Canada, I've almost forgotten what it's like to constantly look over my shoulder when I walk alone.
Oh, that's
I don't have to hide my phone or clutch my wallet when using public transit. The trust level and community here are so tight. People look after each other. They greet each other with a smile by default as opposed to a tense, suspicious stare.
Canadians, I think, are known for being very friendly people.
I will never take this for granted, and I hope you won't either. The respect for the law in Canada creates a sense of order and safety. People stop at red lights even if there are no cars around. They wait in lines patiently, respecting personal space, and generally rules are followed because they make life easier for everyone. And that respect also extends to consumer rights. If a coffee machine I've just bought is broken or defective, I can return it, no questions asked. In Russia, getting a refund is like an interrogation with a lot of bureaucracy involved, and there is always a chance your return cannot be accepted. Speaking of customer service, Russian
because they're gonna blame you because, you broke this? No, I'm not gonna, you can't get it back.
Customer service is something special. This is the face that greets you when you need help. And this is the face they make when you ask a question.
Okay.
And this is the face
Unhelpful.
you see at the grocery checkout. Well, you get the point. You need thick skin. Customer service in Russia, or even interactions with strangers, isn't exactly known for smiles and politeness. You get in, get what you need, and leave.
Well, I think that's common in Europe, right? It's all very transactional and they're not stopping to ask for, I don't know, being friendly in general.
No small talk, no extra effort to accommodate you. If you forget something, well, joke's on you. You'll be told to leave and come back prepared. I remember getting my driver's license back home. It was a nightmare. I had to visit the traffic police office multiple times, go through endless steps, collect a pile of documents, carry them everywhere with me, and wait in long lines. When the day to
Try the DMV, that's a whole thing as well. But yeah, it's not exactly like that.
finally get my license came, I had to wait in a 2-hour line because there were too many people and the reception window was closed for lunch for at least an hour.
Oh, okay.
The AC in the lobby was
Your inability to read this message is not on us. Okay, good, thank you.
blasting cold air that day. I was cold and uncomfortable and wanted to ask if anyone could turn it down, but instead I got that face, and I ended up catching a cold as a result. In Canada, it was a completely different experience. I booked my appointment online, showed up and was out in 15 minutes. My license arrived in my mailbox a few days later. Getting official documents delivered by mail? That's unthinkable in Russia. I know some people in Canada complain that their documents can get lost in mail, so some choose to collect them in person. And if you think that's inconvenient...
Oh yeah, okay, so in Russia everything has to be done in person. Okay, I get it.
Well, remember my story of what it's like to get your license in Russia and relax. I know it feels like I'm trashing my home country, which I'm not. I'm just painting the contrast between two different countries and ways of living. And believe me, there are things that Russia does better, and I miss those. But that's a
public transport is better in Russia. That's crazy to me because I would think, isn't it? I don't know. It's in Canada it should be better. I don't know.
Topic for a separate video. Let me know if you'd like to see it. I know things have been changing in Russia, and now some government services can be done online. But even then, it often leads to the same old process. At some point, you still have to print a bunch of papers and go wait in the line.
Bureaucracy.
Ironically, as I was writing this story, I decided to visit the Russian Federal Tax Service website to check if tax returns could be filed online. And guess what? The website isn't working.
That's classic, but okay, even tax returns, you have to do this somewhere? That's insane to me.
Beyond convenience and the lack of bureaucracy, variety is something I never take for granted in Canada. I grew up in a post-Soviet era, when the Iron Curtain had just collapsed and we were still living with the remnants of a centralized economy. Choices were limited, and I mean really limited. Grocery stores would have only one brand of canned fish. Getting a pair of Levi's jeans was equivalent to getting your hands on the latest iPhone release before it hit the shelves.
That's so sad.
And if you wanted something specific, well, good luck. Eat what you have or don't eat at all, said every single post-Soviet era parent to their children.
Oh my god.
Speaking of food, cuisine choices were mostly limited to Russian food with occasional Georgian or Uzbek dish. Then some
What's Russian food? I don't think I've ever had Russian food.
sushi and Chinese food places started popping up. In comparison, in Toronto, I can find Thai, Ethiopian, Mexican, Brazilian, Korean, French food, sometimes even all on the same street. It's surreal. Till this day, I cannot stop being amazed by trying a little bit of every country without leaving Toronto. The same goes for entertainment, like concerts and shows. International artists tour Canada all the time. I've seen some of my favorite bands, artists, musicals and theater performances here. In Russia, unfortunately, access to certain performances can be very limited, especially these days due to restrictions, politics or simply not being on the tour map.
Yeah. It happens.
Continuing on this topic of having access to things, accessibility also plays a huge role in everyday life in Canada. And I don't just mean ramps and elevators for those who need them. There is also free public Wi-Fi, well-maintained roads, clear signage, public libraries with computers, musical instruments and 3D printers, as well as free sports facilities. Everything is designed to provide access to any activity you like. In Russia, every day you are challenged with a small battle. Like keeping shoes clean is a constant battle. In
Why?
winter, sidewalks are rarely cleaned properly. And in summer, dust and
It's gotta be so messy, yeah, when the snow gets melted and it's gross and disgusting.
dirt get everywhere. Every night I used to wash my shoes. In Canada, winter walkways are cleared and road drainage systems actually work, making life so much safer and more convenient. I don't have to walk like a penguin not to slip and fall in winter.
What's
Of
walking
course,
like a
Canadian
penguin?
infrastructure is far from perfect, and there are countries that receive much more snow and handle it much better than Canada. But if I take a step back
There are countries that get more snow than Canada. I would assume it's one of the countries that gets the most snow.
and compare it to my previous life, life in Canada is designed to be smooth and convenient. In short, you
it
can
should
see
be.
where your tax is going.
As it should be.
Now, one thing I think is important to highlight is that I'm not from Moscow. Life there is quite different from the rest of Russia.
Where is she
I come
from?
from Tyumen, a city with a population of about 800,000 people. So we didn't
Okay,
get to
kinda
enjoy
small.
many of the benefits that people in the capital city did. The moment you leave Russia's capital, things start to look much bleaker. Tyumen is a Siberian city.
Okay, so in Russia, like anywhere else, it's yeah. Once you get rural, never mind. Things are very different over there.
Where temperatures can sometimes drop as low as minus 40 degrees.
Oh my
So
God.
one would think that infrastructure in such a cold city would be engineered to handle extreme
You would
temperatures.
think.
Yet, water pipe ruptures and unscheduled maintenance are common.
Yeah.
As a result, hot or cold water can be shut off for a week or two, sometimes even 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh my,
It doesn't
okay.
matter what time of the year it is, you just deal with it by keeping clean water in buckets and heating water on the stove. If you have the money, you can install your own
Heating water. To shower. Okay. I was thinking, well, you have the snow, so maybe you can melt that and have water, right?
water heater. In
Are they
Canada,
expensive?
I've never experienced a water outage, knock on wood. At the beginning of this video, I told you that the first thing I started associating Canada with was the smell of detergent.
Yes.
I couldn't quite put my finger, or rather my nose, on it. In Canada, houses have dryers that vent directly outside, and since Canadians commonly use scented fabric softeners, the smell of fresh laundry lingers in the air.
Okay,
That's
I
a
get
scent
it.
I never imagined associating with Canada. And you know, doing laundry in Canada is much easier than in Russia. I'm not even joking. Having a washer and dryer combo is something I now can't live without.
They
It
don't have
saves
dryers?
so much time. Back in Russia, most apartments simply aren't built for dryers. Instead, people commonly hang their clothes to dry on strings. And when you air dry
Well, yeah, I think I don't know if that on strings like this, but I think in Europe it's a communality. No one. Well, I think it's been changing, but no one owns a dryer.
clothes, you have to iron them a lot more, which is why one of the most common
What?
images of a Russian house
Okay, hold on. What do you mean you have to? You don't have to always iron your clothes, right? Why would you iron them?
housewife is her constantly ironing.
I never seen that.
Another
Okay.
huge convenience in Canada is HVAC in buildings. In Russia, this is what a facade of an office building can look like. Most buildings are old and weren't built with HVAC ducts in mind, so people install split
I would think all of that is from the communist era, right?
AC systems. Then, in summer, they blast them at full power trying to cool as much square footage as possible because air conditioners are expensive. In Canada, once again, everything is designed for a comfortable life. Air supply
It's designed for you to be happy, basically.
is regulated through ducts that run across each floor, circulating properly heated or cooled air throughout the building. Because of that, it's never too hot in the summer or too cold in the winter. I can just set
What a
the
dream.
temperature on the thermostat and forget about it. What else? In Canada, I don't have to carry cash. Everything is tap and go, even
Yeah.
in the smallest, most remote towns. Meanwhile, in Russia, many places still prefer cash and some services don't accept card payments.
What?
When I got my first job, I remember the odd feeling I had when my boss asked me when I planned to take my vacation. Was this a test of my commitment and dedication? What now seems like a completely normal question felt strange
Okay.
to me at the time. I think I responded with something like, I'll plan around my workload to make sure we meet all deadlines. But it wasn't a test. My boss actually encouraged me to take some time off so I could rest and enjoy the summer.
Really?
Use your vacation days. please.
In Canada, I can take personal time off without any explanation. In fact, it's
Also, that's very different from the US. I would have assumed that it was as in the US that yeah, you can't. It's really the work-life balance is not good. So you're encouraged to work.
no one's
More.
business why I'm taking time off. In Russia, however, the work culture demands commitment, dedication, and selfless hard work. Long
As in the
hours
US.
are the norm, and the line between work and personal time is often blurred.
That's
I
interesting.
remember my Russian colleagues staying late at the office just because their boss was still there. They didn't have actual work to do, but they were afraid of appearing like they had a light workload, so they pretended to be busy, creating the illusion of
So I can stop pretending to work. Okay.
diligence and obedience. Now this behavior seems so absurd to me. And finally, I
It
cannot
is absurd, but sadly, again, it's the reality, so people have to do this.
not mention Canada's nature. Due to climate similarities, the flora
Yeah, but isn't Russia super? I would assume they have a lot of nature landscapes.
and fauna in Canada and Russia are very similar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in Russia, there is not much regard for the environment,
Oh.
neither from the government nor the people. But in Canada, enjoying nature is easy. Parks and campsites are protected and well maintained with strict rules in place. Thanks to Canada's relatively small population and limited land development, there is an
Oh.
abundance of wild nature, which makes people from
Okay, so yeah, but they're similar in that aspect as well. There's few people living in a very gigantic space.
all over the world envy Canadian parks. Canadians are spoiled by their parks.
They're beautiful. This is gorgeous.
Canada is a very beautiful country and people work hard to preserve its beauty. So this is just one of the many things I really appreciate about Canada. When I look at this long list of things, I realize just how much my perception of normal life has changed over the past few years.
That's so
I've
true.
also realized how easy it is to get used to a better life and how sharp the reminders of the old life can be. We humans often take life's simplest yet most profound gifts for granted, like warm smile of a stranger on the street, or clean water flowing from a tap, or the quiet
true.
presence of someone who cares. We take so many good things for granted, and I hope that after watching this, you'll take a moment to appreciate the little things in your life. Thank you for
Aw.
watching.
gonna
If you
wanna
found this
cry.
video even slightly eye-opening, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button below and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if the YouTube algorithm got it right, you will like this video next, and I will see you there. Take care.
Oh, this was a lovely video. I think you can really get the sense, and I get she's not bashing Russia or anything, but you can really, I mean, it's obvious that her life is, I obviously do not know the specifics, but it's very clear that she's much more happier in Canada than what she probably was in Russia. And you can really do see a lot of it is the kind of little things. I think it all boils down to what she said about, you can see how easy it is to get used to this normal life and how sort of convenient everything is. And at the same time, of course, she can see this because she's coming from this place that doesn't really have a lot of these things. But I think obviously Canadians are not going to be realizing, oh, you know, this is important or this is a huge thing, because they lived this their whole life. So for them, it's sort of, isn't this the normal sort of reality for a lot of people? And it's no, absolutely not. And you would get a huge culture shock if you ever sort of go outside into the world and you see that that's sadly not the reality, because it should be, right? I think a lot of these things are just sort of normal things that you would expect to get, I think, just as a baseline for, I don't know, for a well-functioning society or a well-functioning country. And sadly, a lot of it is just, no, that's really not the case. I think that's just crazy. But I think what's even crazier to me, it's even that you can see, wow, what an upgrade, right? She gets so many things that they didn't have available over there in Russia, and still she mentioned, and there's a lot of things to improve as well, because other countries do a lot of these things, they do this better. So it's okay. So it's kind of good in a way. It's sort of the highest level of I don't know, of great quality of life doesn't really exist in a way, because you think, oh, it can't get any better than this, and oh no, it can always get better. So I kind of like it, because it's sort of, there's always going to be a room for improvement. So that's good, as long as you kind of work towards being achieving those goals. Yes, of course. And I mean this as sort of as a society and as a country. But one of the other things that I loved about the video was how she mentioned, I think, again, it's the little things that I think really do make for sort of quality of life. Maybe some things that you're not used to, or yes, or just some things that you're not specifically thinking of because they're not big things. Like she said, the whole sort of, I don't know, the dryer, for instance, it's much more comfortable. Although I get it, sometimes, dryers sometimes they're not that good. They damage clothes as well. But again, it's sort of the little things. Or maybe having running water. I think that's a great example, actually. Having running water every single day. There are countries, like she mentioned, that sadly do not get this. You have to boil water and sort of, to shower, I would assume, or maybe to drink. I have no idea. But still, it's an inconvenience. And again, a lot of people take this for granted, because again, that's how it should be, because again, as humans, there should be a baseline of things that everyone should kind of be able to do. But sadly, that's really not the case. So I like that she said, you have to sort of take, and again, did you take this for granted? And I think this can also be applied to so many other things, and just sort of in how you live, and also I think in your life as well. It's why you are very lucky. And I think, again, there's sometimes, and I think in this modern world where there's so many things that you can think, oh, my life is going bad, or there's always something happening. I think as an adult, you kind of get the sense of there's always one thing, there's always one thing, because, I don't know, your car broke down, or I don't know, there's always something happening, or, or the state of the world, when you look at the news, there's always something happening. And I like that it's sort of, you can get the sense of, you're sort of a Debbie Downer, and you're, oh my God, everything's bad. But no, and obviously things could always get worse. Yes, absolutely. But I think it's very important sort of to take a time and take some time to realize, and sort of, be grateful for what you have, because again, it's sort of, I think you should be grateful, I think, in general, for just your life, and just, there's always going to be something that you're grateful for. So I really do like that sort of, that little message at the end, because, that's so true. And I think it's really easy to sort of do that, for that to get lost, because obviously you're so concerned about sort of the daily sort of misgivings of life, and you're busy, and again, you don't really take some time to, I'm going to take some time to be grateful about the things that I do have. And obviously, again, in this modern sort of life, I think it's really easy to think about the things that you do not have, because you're always missing something. And I think, again, social media, I think, plays a pretty big part on this, because you're constantly you're constantly getting ads and stuff. I don't know, there's always someone that has more things than you, or has something that you want, and that, whether that is a neighbor or some acquaintance, or just, again, you got an ad for something that, oh, I need this. And it's really, then that can make you feel as if you're always lacking. But I think it's important to sort of reflect and say, no, but what about the things I do have? I'm very grateful about the things that I do get to have. So that was really nice. And as for the other sort of things that she mentioned, I think one of the things that surprises me, well, a lot of things surprise me, but I think one of the things that I find it very curious was about the thing about the work-life balance. Because I think I'm comparing that again with sort of, it's in Canada specifically, but I wouldn't have thought in Canada it was specifically like that. I thought it was as in the US, in which, there's a whole, doing it for the grind, and you're constantly have to be, you have to work and work and work and work. And it's really, again, it's frowned upon if you kind of, you're thinking about taking a break, a vacation. No, because you have to work. And I thought that in Canada, it was a little bit like that, but no, apparently they have sort of a European and more European model of how to do things, and it's you have to take a break. And there are, I think it's probably in the law, there's vacation days that you have to use, and it's okay if you take a sick day, and it's not going to be that a sick day is separate from your vacation days. And it's not, as she said, oh, it's a trick. No, well, when are you planning on taking a vacation? It's, oh my God, never, no, I don't want my boss to know that I want to take a vacation. No, it's okay. It's being seen as that's a normal normal thing, and that doesn't mean the fact that you want to take a vacation doesn't really mean, oh, I hate my job, I don't want to work here anymore. No, it's okay, because I know you're planning to travel somewhere. I don't know, but that was surprising to me, because I thought Canada was as in it was similar to the US, but no, apparently Russia is the one that's similar to the US, as in there's this whole culture of just work, and you have to always don't leave work early, and if your boss still going at it, then you're gonna have to as well, because you're scared of leaving, because then you'll be, oh, they're gonna tell me, okay, so what, you don't have enough, I don't know, enough work or enough sort of, I don't know, I should give you then more tasks if you're leaving so early. I think, okay, well, no, maybe I will stay here, even though, as she mentioned, you're not working, but you're just being seen as I'm behind the computer doing something. So that was really interesting to me. And the other things, I think I think Russia, I think this is whole, I don't know, to me, it's obviously this huge country, but I think at the same time, there's a lot of things that I personally, I don't think I know that much about Russia. And this was very eye-opening. I think, a lot of the things that she mentioned, how people live, I think, in this day and age. Oh, okay, that gives me, I think, a clear view on how sort of Russians live. Although she mentioned, I think she's from a more rural part of the country. Not specifically Moscow, which I would assume is obviously things are different just because it's the capital. But I think, I think there's a lot of things about Russian culture that I had no idea. I think it could be defined as, you have to, your life should be tough, and you're gonna have to put up with it. And again, it's so easy. Maybe I don't know if that's ingrained in them, or again, that's a bit of or maybe I misunderstood. But I think it's really easy, because again, what she said about, for instance, your parents telling you this is what you're gonna eat, and if you don't like it, then but too bad, because this is it's all very, oh my god, okay, there's very few, I don't know, there's no coddling, to put it that way. So I think, okay, if that's really the case, and that's how, and again, people are very unfriendly, or they're unkind, they're unfriendly, they're not that super nice to you, and I think that's a very European thing as well. Not in all countries, but I think that's sort of what a lot of people believe. I think they're a little bit unfriendlier, and I think maybe this is up to the max. People are not going to smile at you, they're going to be very unhelpful, and if you, again, for customer service, or if you're walking down the street and maybe you ask for directions, maybe there's a level of distrust as well, and you're not going to, they're do not expect a decent reply or a decent answer. Maybe they're just going to ignore you. So I think, well, yeah, it's really interesting, because apparently that's Russian culture, but it also goes to show how easy it is to kind of get used to something else and something more, people being friendlier and open and normal. So it's, okay, I get it. But now I'm scared to go to Russia, to be honest, after this video, just because, okay, people are very unfriendly, they're kind of unkind. If you kind of complain, or not complain, maybe are a little complain, I don't know, they're going to treat you very poorly. And I don't know, again, you can't even ask for directions in the street, because people are going to be unfriendly towards you. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm a tourist, I don't know, maybe with tourists is different, and maybe they're a little bit friendlier to them, but I'm a little scared to go to Russia, I'm not gonna lie. And of course, the whole level of distrust in the authorities, I think a lot of countries have this as well, and I think Canada it is the exception. I think not as well, yeah, with police as well. Yeah, and I already mentioned, I think there's a lot of places that have trouble and problems with police, because usually it's corrupt, and it should be that the police it has your best interest at heart, but that's really not the case. And that goes in Russia and in the US and in a lot of places as well. It's not really like that, and it's not how it should be, but sadly it is the reality. And seeing as sort of a police officer, instead of reassuring you and being, they're going to help me, no, it's more as in, no, now you're scared, because they're out to get you, basically. And it shouldn't. And I'm glad that in Canada is one of those places in which, actually, if you have some sort of problem, the police are going to help you, which again, absolutely, it should be like that. So yeah, that was this is a very eye-opening video for, I think, both Canada and Russia. And I'm really happy. Her life seems in a much better, she's in a much better spot these days. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!